Hello, and welcome to episode 40 of the Sarah Seams podcast. My name is Sarah. I'm coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, where I live with my partner Troy and our cats Alex, Moo, and Elsie. And it's a weird day here today. It is March 1st, it's Saturday, and we had a beautiful sunny, almost spring-like day this morning, and then a second later it was snowing, and now it's sunny again. So, it's a weird weather day, but definitely feeling like spring is around the corner. And I'm excited to be back for a regular podcast episode today. This channel is where I share all of my crafty projects. It's mostly knitting, but today we have some spinning and quilting as well. Traditional podcast format, so we'll go over finished objects, works in progress. I have quite a bit of planning to share with you today as well, and one exciting little update at the end of the podcast. But yeah, I hope you'll come along with me. If you're new to the channel, I post one video like this once a month, kind of at the end of the month. I know technically it's the beginning of March, but this is kind of my February knitting that I'll be sharing with you today. And then every Friday in between, I've been posting a shorter Friday fiber chat, which is like a little video under 20 minutes, just about whatever crafty topic has my attention at the moment. So yeah, that's kind of how we do it here on this channel. I feel rusty. I feel like going a month between is just long enough that I forget how to do this every time. So I think that's all I have to say. Nope. Social media. My Instagram and Ravelry are linked in the description box below. Always forget that one. And also, I don't do super detailed notes in the description anymore, just because it was making this a little unsustainable for me, taking a little too long to do that. But if you have any questions at all about any patterns or yarns or anything at all that I'm talking about today, please feel free to leave me a comment and I will get back to you as soon as I can to answer your question. That is actually it. So let's dive into the projects. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is a fun one. I finished my D20 sweater. Yay, I love this sweater. I'll put in a picture of me wearing it here. So the pattern is Stripe-tastic by Andrea Gahn. I'd highly recommend it. I really, really enjoyed this pattern. I made size 5. It is quite oversized on me. I think I definitely could have gone down a size, but I was kind of going for a big oversized sweatshirty look with this one. And I used a D20 method to knit this. So I took a 20-sided die like you would use for tabletop gaming, D&D or anything like that. I picked out 20 colors from my stash, assigned a number to each one, and then basically I rolled the dice once to pick the color, and then I rolled it again to see how many rows I would knit with that color. And I held fingering weight yarns double, so that's how I got this fun marling. And hopefully you saw it in the video, but I can stand up just so you can see a little bit more. It's super random, but you get all this fun marling using that method. The sleeves do not match. It's funny, this one ended up with black just on the cuff, so they're actually very different, but I love it. It's so cozy. Most of these yarns are leftover sock yarns, and so the sweater has a really nice weight and drape to it. I love it so much. The only modification I made to the pattern was that I knit a double folded collar. The pattern just calls for a regular plain single layer collar, but I felt like this sweater kind of needed the heavier collar. One, for structure, just because it is quite heavy, but two, it just visually felt like it needed a little bit more here because it's so crazy. What am I forgetting to say about this one? Oh, I was knitting it along with my friend Jess. Hi, Jess. Hers, I can't wait to see hers finished. She used an advent for hers. She did a different pattern. I think she did a V-neck by Amy Sher. I think Hibernation. Nope, that's not right. I can't remember. It's her Raglan V-neck kind of oversized sweater, but yeah, Jess's looks beautiful. It's greens and blues and purples, so I'm really excited to see how hers turned out. But that was a fun knit along. It's a very addictive way to knit a project. You kind of just can't wait to see what the next color is going to be. So I'm sure it won't be the last D20 project. Actually, I have an idea maybe for another one I'll talk about later in the episode. But yeah, kind of a beast to knit. It was a lot of knitting. It's just a really big oversized sweater, but I love how it turned out. It's so cozy, and I feel like I'm going to be wearing it around my house like constantly. It might be a little too crazy to wear like to work or anything like that, but I definitely see it being the perfect like running errands sweater, or like I said, just being cozy around the house. But yeah, I love it. I'm so happy with it. I could definitely knit another one just like it, to be honest with you. It was so enjoyable. So yeah, that's my D20 striped-tastic sweater. All right, moving on to the rest of my FOs. The first one I actually don't have with me, so I will put a picture of it in here. It's the frog. So funny story, I had kind of been thinking about knitting one of these, and then my sister happened to see someone on Instagram repost, like, it was like a posed photo shoot with their frog where it had like a little, it was like a Ren Fair vibe. It had like a little knight costume on and a little sword, and she like shared it and thought it was so cute. And I texted her and I was like, hey, do you want me to like make that for you? It's like a popular pattern. She was like, yes. So I made it for her birthday. This is the frog pattern by Claire Garland, and it was super fun to make. I think I'm gonna have to make one for myself because I finished it and I was like, oh, I think I need to keep it. But I gave it to her last night and she loves it. So I ended up just using some scrap yarns that I had in stash, just a little bit of green fingering weight yarn and mohair, and then white, same combo for the belly. And then I have a bunch of safety eyes from when I was making all the emotional support chickens. So I already had those. And I did get a little bit confused at first because I wanted him to have like the wire armature so that he'd be posable. And that's not written in the original pattern, but there's like a version of the pattern called Froggy or like Green Froggy or something that has basically just a different pattern for the legs that allows you to like include the wire. So first I thought, oh, I'm gonna make that one. But then I didn't like the look of the legs as much as the original. So what I ended up doing was kind of a hybrid. I knit the original with the longer legs, and then I had my wire and I kind of just like made it work. Like I loosely followed the like armature pattern from the Froggy pattern. It's a little more confusing than it needs to be, I think. And just added wire to the arms and the legs. So it's probably not the most secure thing in the world, but he's posable, he's very cute, and I love him. And he wouldn't be complete without his own emotional support chicken. So as you can see in the photo, I also made a tiny chicken for the frog. So this pattern is, I think it's Tiny Hen actually by Mochi Mochi Land. And I've made a bunch of their little critters and they're so fun to make. They take like an hour or less, you know, just sock scrap yarn I use, and he's just she's just a little tiny gal. So yeah, that was really fun. I finished it and I had it like sitting on my mantle at home for a few days, and I was like, I don't want to give him away. So I'll probably have to make another one at some point. I don't know if I have it in me to do it right now. The body knitted up really quickly, but the legs were a little bit fiddly, so I do think I'll make one eventually, but not right now. But yeah, curious if you've made the frog or if you're interested in making it. It was really fun. I could recommend the pattern, but I'd probably just stick with the original frog pattern and not like get confused with the Froggy pattern. I don't know, you can do you, but I found that a little bit confusing. But yeah, super fun. My sister loves him, so he needs a name. I'm waiting for his name still, but we'll see. I'll let you know when I get the name. All right, next I have a couple finished pairs of socks. So the first pair are one of the pairs from Summer Lee's book, The Sock Project, that I've been working through. And they are a 2x2 rib color block striped sock. So there's a lot going on here. Here they are. I love these. As you can see, the colors are reversed. So here we have purples on the legs and blues on the foot. And then in the second one, we have blues on the leg and purples on the foot. The yarn was a mini skein set, 5 minis of Knit Pick Stroll that came together, and they're all Tweety. So I think that kind of helps tie all the colors together. And then you can see I used the pink for the toe and the heel. These were really fun. I think I'm really, really happy with how they turned out. I used a lot of like little detailed techniques in these. So whenever I changed colors, I did just a solid knit row so you don't see any of those contrast color purl bumps. They look super clean. I also did jogless stripes, which I think they look pretty good. I really can't even tell like which is the right side anymore. And the rib kind of helps to hide that too. The yarn turned out really soft. I think the color blocking is super fun. So yeah, I'm really pleased with these. It took me a long time to knit these. I think especially the first one, I was just having a hard time like getting in a groove with it. I'd also been knitting a lot of 2x2 ribbed socks, and I think I had kind of just had enough or needed a break, but I am really glad that they're finished. And I have the mini version, so a little project I'm doing this year, whenever I finish a pair of socks, I'm knitting a tiny version to go eventually at the end of the year. I'm planning to string them onto like a garland around the holidays. This might be my favorite one yet. I'm very proud of it. So here's the big sock. Here is the little sock. I can't even, it's like a teeny perfect version. I was pretty proud of that one. I definitely spent way too much time on it. And there were way too many little ends to weave in, but I feel like it looks just like the big one. So yeah, I was pretty proud of that. And I told myself I was gonna keep them simple, which I am still trying to, but stripes are pretty easy too. So like you'll see in a minute, for one, I simplified it a lot more, but for this one, I felt like I could make it pretty similar. So tiny sock, so cute. I feel like it's bad that I'm like more excited about the tiny sock than the big socks, but it's just so cute. All right, and I have one more finished pair of socks. These are my Colorwork Cuff Club socks for February. Again, this is a Summer Lee pattern. For her Colorwork Cuff Club, she releases a new colorwork chart every month, and you can, like, the base pattern is always the same, but you just knit the colorwork cuff, and then the foot is like plain or striped or whatever it may be. But yeah, for February, we had a really fun heart Fair Isle chart, and these might be my favorite ones to date for the Colorwork Cuff Club. Eee, they're so fun. This is like so outside of my color scheme comfort zone. Like aside from the hot pink, I don't tend to use a lot of like green or yellow, but I am just like obsessed with this. So I knew I wanted to use this neon tweed because Summer Lee used neon tweed for hers, and I had this skein kicking around and I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. And it just kind of ended up being perfect for this. So I knew I was starting with that. So then I let that kind of inform the rest of my color choices. So I was like, oh, I have this little neon yellow mini. There's neon yellow in here. The hot pink would go, and then there's green. So I added the green. And yeah, I'm just really, really happy that I like kind of took a color risk on these, and I think they turned out amazing. I love them. I don't even know what to say. They're just so fun. Like, I cannot recommend the Colorwork Cuff Club enough. Like if you've been wanting to dip your toes into colorwork sock knitting, which I really hadn't done that much before this. I'd knit a couple pairs, but I feel like knitting these every month has really helped me like nail down my colorwork sock recipe and get really confident with colorwork socks. And I just feel like every month I have so much fun picking out the colors and like casting on the new sock. Like it's really something that I look forward to, and I'm really happy with how these ones turned out. Like they're definitely Valentine's-y, but I think I could wear these all winter long, to be honest with you, especially in this a little bit more, you know, less traditional color palette. So love. And for the tiny version of these, I was like, do I want to do color work? Do I want to do a little heart? I decided here to just keep it simple. So here's the big sock and here's the little sock. I just kept it super simple. I kept that hot pink cuff. I used the neon tweed, but I didn't fuss with any of the color work because I felt like that was just going to be too much. So one more little sock to add to the garland and another finished pair. These pairs are both for me, which I am trying to knit more for other people this year, more socks for other people. So I think a couple of my new cast-ons and some of my whips are going to be socks for other people. Okay, I have another finished garment to show you. Let me see, I'm getting quite the pile over here. Oh, I didn't mention the main color here, the neon tweed. That is from Studio Dog Fibers. This is from one of my local yarn stores. This is their radioactive sock base, and it is 85% superwash merino, 15% neon Donegal neps. and it's 437 yards to 100 grams. So yeah, you can get your own skate if you want. I feel like that neon tweed has been popping up everywhere. I've been seeing it a lot lately, so I think it's kind of out there in a big way right now. It is really fun to knit with, but I found it a little particular. Like, I'm happy I found the perfect project for it, but I think, I mean, you could definitely just knit a vanilla sock with it too, but I think the color work kind of makes it a little more fun. Anyway, let me get organized here. I have another finished sweater, and this one I think was cast on and cast off since the last episode. It was a really quick knit. So let me hold it up and then I'll put a video in. So this is the coloring book Raglan by Amy Scher, and I used my Handspun. So I think on the last episode I showed you my Lucky Dips Handspun. This is what I have left. This was from a bag of Lucky Dip fiber, which is from Hedgehog Fibers, and it's all kind of like bits and bobs, like different little pieces, kind of like scraps that you can spin. I chose to spin together to make this really fun variegated yarn. But mine had a lot of like yellow and green and orange in it, which aren't colors that I typically want to wear super close to my face. Like, yellow is not a color that I love to have near my face just because it washes me out. So I knew I wanted something like this where I could still use that Handspun and all those fun colors, but they wouldn't be by my face. So I thought the coloring book Raglan was perfect. It was also a worsted weight Handspun. This is a worsted weight pattern. So I ended up with this. So let me put the video in of me wearing it. It's also pretty big and oversized. I didn't gauge swatch for this. It definitely turned out a little bit bigger than the pattern. Which is fine by me. So, cause I knew this was also gonna be kind of like a cozy around the house errands running kind of sweater. And I think it is one of the softest sweaters, not like non-superwash sweaters that I've made. So let me tell you about the yarns. The main color was this kind of a light pinky purple. This I got at Rhinebeck. It is from Prairie Spun DK. Oh, it is Prairie Spun DK from the Brown Sheep Company. They're based out of Mitchell, Nebraska. And it just says 100% wool, but it's very soft. It's very bouncy. It's 3-ply, and this is DK. The color is Pink Petal. This was in a like final sale bin at Rhinebeck, and I paid $6 a ball. It says they were seconds, which I don't know if that's because, like, to my eye, the colors were very consistent, but maybe the whole dye lot wasn't quite the right color. I don't know, because I did also get all the same dye lot. So not exactly sure why they were seconds, but they were fine for me. And they actually ended up being perfect for this project because just in case there were any inconsistencies, this project has stripes. And I feel like having stripes kind of helps to mitigate any like color inconsistencies. So that was my main color. Obviously, then I was holding the Handspun. And then throughout the whole thing, because the Pink Petal was only a DK and the sweater calls for worsted, I held a strand of this throughout the project. So with the purple yarn and with the Handspun. This is Lane Cashmere Dreams. It's a 25-gram ball and you get 290 meters. It is 65% cashmere, 35% silk. So it's very soft and luxurious. It doesn't have much halo really. It's soft, but it doesn't have a lot of like fluff to it. And the color is not listed. But it is also kind of like a light dusty purple. So I thought holding that throughout would kind of help to like bring a little bit of cohesion as well, like just having one consistent color throughout. And I do think that that worked pretty well. Like if you look closely at the stripes, hopefully that'll come through on camera, you can see that little strand kind of running through. And it did also make the whole sweater very soft. So it's super nice to wear. Like I said, it ended up a little bit big. I think I was knitting size 5 and it definitely ended up bigger than that, but that's like I said, it's just fine. Otherwise, I knit like the yoke and the length to pattern for this cropped version. The one main change I made here were the sleeves. So for the cropped version, I think normally you knit like 2 or 3 sleeves and then bind off, and it's just knit straight. So it's a little bit of like a balloon sleeve, but it's like a straight sleeve on the cropped version. I chose to make a full length balloon sleeve. So I just kept knitting straight because I wanted to use more of the handspun. Then I did some rapid decreases and the cuff as written. So I ended up with this full length balloon sleeve with these stripes on it, and I love it. I think it looks so good. I love how the handspun is like really soft in some places and then really bright in other places. This is my favorite stripe. Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. The beginning of round is at the center back. It's been folded, so there's a bit of a crease there now. I did do jogless stripes, but you can see a little bit of a jog still. I do think in a perfect world, your beginning of round would probably be at the underarm for stripes, but it is what it is. It's the back, and I think it looks fine. So yeah, I knit this in 2 weeks. I wasn't really even planning to do that. It was kind of an impulse cast on. I think I might have talked about planning to do something with this yarn in the last episode, but once I decided to cast this on, I just like went for it. It was just so nice to knit on, and I really feel like knitting with handspun is like so addictive. Like you just can't wait to see the next color. Like it's just really rewarding too, because you're like, oh, I made this yarn. Like it's such a nice feeling to knit with handspun. I did do a little bit of yarn management here, specifically on the second sleeve, because I was getting so many like soft stripes in the same kind of color. I wanted a little bit more brightness, so I did end up cutting the yarn after this stripe and pulling out quite a bit of like neutral section so I could get these brighter colors in at the end. But other than that, I really didn't do much yarn management, and yeah. This one's really nice to wear. It is so soft, but it is very warm. It's probably one of the warmest sweaters that I own. And part of that might be the cashmere. That little bit of cashmere definitely adds to the warmth of the sweater and to the softness. So yeah, this was a really good one. I think it's a great pattern for handspun. If you don't have enough to do like a whole sweater or, you know, but more than you would need for a yoke, like I think this was a great way to just use up a little bit of handspun in a garment. So yeah, that is my coloring book Raglan by Amy Sher. And last but not least, I have some more handspun to show you. I have really been doing a lot of spinning lately. I'm just gonna start a pile over here. Yeah, I've been doing a ton of spinning lately. I've just been finding it like so meditative and therapeutic. There's been a lot going on in the world and the news lately, and when I'm spinning, like, yes, I can be listening to a podcast or like watching something, but I feel like I'm really like in the zone when I'm spinning, and I kind of go into that like flow state, and I don't even have that with knitting sometimes. Like knitting still usually requires more brain power and like physical work. I mean, I know it's not a lot, but like if I'm spinning, I can sit down and it's just like very still and it's like very minimal movements. And I have found that like very, very relaxing lately. So I've been doing a lot of spinning. The first one I finished was the next skein for my 6th skein project that I'm working on, which is going to be for a night shift shawl. Is that right? Night shift? Yeah. This is a pattern by Andrew Mallory. It calls for 6 different colors of spin cycle, but I am spinning 6 different colors for this. And I finished the next one, which is my first like tonal skein. Here it is. More purple. It's kind of similar to the sweater I just showed you. I think it turned out really pretty. It's pretty consistent. The color is really nice. This was a braid of Targhee from Fat Cat Knits. They are on Etsy. And the color was Heather. It was 4 ounces of Targhee. And I ended up with 105 grams at about 370 yards. So it's like a heavy sport weight. And all of the skeins so far, this is my 3rd one, have ranged from like fingering to sport weight. So I think that'll end up being fine. I'll just end up knitting the sport weight version of the shawl. But yeah, definitely not as fun to spin a tonal as it is to spin like a crazy variegated color. It took me a while to get through this one, but I'm glad I kind of buckled down and finished it up. I think I've started, I'll show you in whips, I've started the next skein. So I have 2 more variegated skeins and 1 more tonal. So in total, I will have 4 variegated and 2 tonal. So only 1 more tonal to get through. After I finished that, I needed a little bit of a like palette cleanser, just for fun kind of spin. And I had purchased a bunch of Rolags from a Gem Fiber Arts, who I have their card here. Let me show you. Here's their card. I believe they're based out of Michigan. And I ran into their booth at the Michigan Fiber Fest last summer, and I got 2 packs of these Rolags. I might have a picture of them in Rolag form that I could pop in here. And they are a blend of superwash merino and Shetland from Cardamom the sheep, who lives at West Wind Farm, which was very sweet. And they were each 3 ounces. So in total, I had 6 ounces. And here's what I ended up with. It's kind of a mega skein. I do think it looks very pretty. It's not the most consistent. So wherever you see the black bits, that was the Shetland, and it was kind of hard to spin. It wasn't super incorporated into the rest of the bat, and the locks were pretty intact. So like I'd be spinning along the colorful merino, and then I would get to the Shetland, and it was just like a whole lock of Shetland, and it was kind of hard to draft it out. So they're a little bit chunky, but I think it looks really nice still. And I ended up with almost 150 grams, so 149 grams, 365 yards. So it is a DK weight, but it is pretty thick and thin. So I probably wouldn't use it in a garment. I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna do with it yet. I would love to know if you have any ideas. I thought about making some kind of home item out of it, like a pillow cover, or like, I don't know, it kind of gives me Halloween vibes. So I did think about making some like pumpkins out of it or something. It could probably work in a sweater, but it would have to be a very specific pattern. Yeah, I don't know, like some of the bits are so pretty, but then there's these like really chunky bits of the dark fiber. So I don't know if it's consistent enough to use in a sweater, but I definitely want to knit something with it at some point because I think it is really beautiful. And the color is just really like luminous. It really comes through nicely. So yeah, that was a for fun spin. It's definitely a little bit thicker, it was faster to spin up. Just had a really good time doing that. I think I did the whole thing in like 2 or 3 days. Like it was pretty quick. And last but not least, the one I'm most excited about. So I have talked on the past few episodes about how I'm trying to mostly work from my stash this year. I'm not doing a no-buy, I'm not doing a ban. I'm just trying to enjoy what I have. The couple of exceptions that I made right at the beginning of the year were signing up for 2 clubs. So the first one, which I'm going to talk about now, is the Kira Wiggins Fiber Club, because I really don't have that much fiber. This was the only fiber I had aside from the last 3 braids to finish this project. So it's not like I have like a big fiber stash at all. I really, like, when I get something, I usually spin it up pretty quickly. And the other one is the Wandering Flock Sock Club, which I'm very excited about. I will talk more about it when the first box comes in March, but I like cannot wait for that. But yeah, so I signed up for a fiber club because I wanted to make sure I had at least like a little bit of fiber that I could work through every month. And the first one came and it's gorgeous and I'm obsessed with it. So I'll put a picture of the bat in here. I am doing the 50 gram version. And this month's color was called Optimi or Optimi. It is 50% finished wool, 50% merino. And I spun this up and it was like a joy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I loved the color of this, but it was hard to spin. I didn't really enjoy spinning it because of the way the Shetland was incorporated. It wasn't like the most enjoyable spin ever. This was a truly enjoyable spin. The bat was just, I mean, all of Kira's fiber that I've used so far is just like impeccably prepped. The colors are perfect. I loved it. So yeah, here is my skein. I just did my default spin, which for me is about a fingering to sport weight 3-ply. And I just think the colors are so beautiful. It's this like peachy pink with these pops of teal and hot pink and kind of like a yellowy green in here. So pretty. It's just like a nice little 50-gram skein, and it's very consistent. Like the fiber was so easy to draft. Loved it from start to finish, and I can't wait to do next month. So I have decided I'm gonna spin each one as it comes every month, and then at the end of the year I'll have all 12 skeins, and my plan initially is to knit some kind of colorwork sweater or striped sweater with them, but we'll just have to see if they all go together well enough. If not, we'll see. I'll come up with a new plan then. But yeah, my tentative plan is to spin them as I get them, end up with 12 50-gram skeins, and then pick a project from there. All right, that is it for finished objects, and we're 30 minutes in already. So I swear I don't have as many whips this week, but I do have some fun plans to tell you about at the end. So I hope you'll hang with me. I'm gonna go and grab those whips now. Okay, I have a couple sock whips I'd like to quickly show you, so let's dive into those. First one is kind of my travel project. It lives in my gorgeous Line Study Textiles bag that I picked up at Indie Untangled this year. And I finished the first sock. So the yarn I'm using for these is this really fun kind of like black or really dark gray with these white flecks in it. I also picked this up at the Michigan Fiber Fest, and I'm knitting these for Troy. The yarn is You Socksy Thing by Pearl Talk, which is amazing. And the color is Zebra, I think, yeah. But they kind of had it as part of their like Halloween collection when we were there. And Troy likes all things spooky, so I felt like it was perfect for him. And I did finish the first sock, and they look so fun. It looks so good on the camera, actually, like even better than in real life. So yeah, this is just a basic vanilla sock. We've got a 2x2 cuff, a little bit of leg, heel flap and gusset, foot, and a standard wedge toe. And I just think the yarn is the star of the show here. Like it looks like little static or like little spirits floating around or something. I don't know. It definitely feels more Halloween-y to me than like a zebra. But oh, that's interesting. The pooling on this side. Super fun. So I just finished the first one. I'm excited to cast on the second one. Troy likes a tighter sock and he has a narrower foot, so this is a 56 stitch sock. So for me, that's a really quick, enjoyable knit. I am normally knitting at least 64 stitch socks for myself, and I have long feet, so his socks are fun to knit. They're pretty quick, and I just think the yarn on this one is awesome. So I'm excited to go ahead and move on to the second one. But like I said, this is kind of my travel car project, so they don't get as much like dedicated work. The next ones are so close to being done. These are my Corinthian socks, which I have the first one finished. I can show you. Here it is. This was a test knit for Laura from Sunday Morning Knits, and I think this sock is beautiful. So it's inspired by a Corinthian column, which as you can see, it is a fluted column, like the rib knit duplicates that, and then it has the lace work that's meant to, you know, mimic the like crown molding of the column, and then this like cap at the top with the little flower detail. It's just really well done. The folded cuff, it's a really beautiful design. The rib extends onto the heel flap, and then there's like this little pearl ridge at the toe. It's really beautiful. I'm just really ready to be done knitting them. I finished this first one during the test knit, and I definitely was one of the first people like going through the pattern like when the test knit started, and there were quite a few errors. They were all resolved. Like the final version of the pattern is really nice, but I think I just kind of have like a little bit of a bad feeling about these, and it's nothing to do with the design or the designer at all. I love Laura's patterns and she's delightful. I like really enjoy watching her podcast. I think personally, like I said, I was in a phase knitting a ton of 2x2 rib, and this was even more 2x2 rib, and then there was like some, you know, number issues that kind of stalled me out before they got resolved, and I just kind of lost steam on it. So, but they're so beautiful, I want to finish them. So the second one's taken me a very long time to knit, but I've kind of just like been cranking it out lately, and I'm getting there. So I finished the leg, and I have finished the heel and gusset, and now I'm onto the foot. The other thing I think that has made these tough is that this yarn is a super light fingering weight. So let me show it to you. It is beautiful yarn, love it. It's Camellia Fiber Co. Rainbow Sprinkles on their superwash merino, or their superwash sock yarn. I could tell you the actual name of it, that might be helpful. Camellia Fiber Co. It is their merino fingering, 100% merino wool. So these are also going to be like fancy socks. There's no nylon in them. Just 100% merino, 438 yards, which is pretty standard, but it feels thinner than other fingering weight yarns, and I don't really know why that is, but like on a standard sock, I have to knit like anywhere from 56 to 60 rows for the foot, but for this one I have to knit 65. So it just does feel like it takes a little bit longer to build up the length on these because the yarn is so fine. But I mean, I can't get over the dye job on this. Like, let me find a good example. Like, there are places in this sock where you get like 5 stitches in a row and like 1 stitch each is like a different color of the rainbow. Like, it's really cool. I'm trying to find a good example. I don't know, like maybe like right here. So there's like red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Like, isn't that, it's so cool. I don't know how you would dye something like that, but I just think it's really interesting and pretty. So yep, I just got to do the foot and toe, and then these guys are going to be done. And I really want to get them done because once I finish these, I'm going to start on my next sock design, and I'm going to talk about that more later, but I'm really excited, but I have to finish these first. That's my goal. That's the parameter I've given myself. So next podcast, these will be done. That is the goal. One more pair of socks. As I said, I am working my way through Summer Lee's book, The Sock Project, trying to knit, if not all, most of the patterns from it. And I have moved on to the DK weight sock section, which I'm excited about because these will go quickly. And the first pair is just like a classic DK weight sock. And I finished the first one. It looks really big. I don't know why. I tried it on and it does fit well. It just looks really big. So this pattern doesn't have any ribbing. It just has a fold over, you know, like a rolled edge, which I think is really cute. This yarn is beautiful. I'll tell you more about it in a second. It just has a heel flap and gusset, classic vanilla sock, but I think that rolled hem is a nice detail. This is the yarn. I got this at India Untangled, and it is from the Red Pansy. This was their India Untangled exclusive color, and I think I got the last skein. Like it was like almost sold out by the time I got there. The color is October Twilight, and yeah, it's their classic DK base, 100% fine superwash merino. I just think the color is beautiful, like these pastels with a little bit of periwinkle and rusty colors. So yeah, it did knit up very quickly. I knitted the leg extra long, so that took a little bit more time, but I mean, a DK weight sock is just like the best palette cleansing project. They're so quick. So I'm pretty confident this pair will also be finished next time, at least I hope so. There are 2 other DK weight patterns in the book, so I'll be moving on to those next. And I already have a yarn picked out for them. I'm like ready to go. My sock knitting mojo has been very strong the past couple of weeks, so I'm hoping that that continues. All right, I have 2 sweater whips to show you, and then I have 1 spinning whip and a quilting whip, and then we'll be done with whips. So, sweaters. I have been making some progress on my Miles shirt jacket. I had a moment of doubt with this project, which I'll put a picture of the design in here so you can see. It's by Ozetta. It's just this like big, long, like it has a really pretty curved hem detail. It's kind of like a shacket, you know, it's like that outer layer that you would just throw on over anything. And I'm knitting it out of Newton Held Double. And I had a moment of doubt last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, when I was like, is this what I want to be knitting right now that it's starting to warm up a little bit? Like, do I want to be spending my knitting time on this super heavy garment? And the more I thought, I did consider frogging it for a second, but my friend just knit one of these and has like raved about how much she loves it. And I definitely want to be twins with her, so I need to knit it. But the more I thought about it, I was like, I think I could wear this all year, even if it's just in the house or, you know, like around the campfire on a chillier summer night. Like, I think I still want the finished object, and it's not like it's summer here yet. Like, it's still like 30 some degrees. So I did decide though, that if I wasn't gonna frog it, I needed to kind of focus on it and try and get it done sooner rather than later. So I had already knit the pockets, which I showed last time, and now I have finished the back panel. Oh, I have a little bit of rowing out, don't I? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I did not notice that until now. And I don't know if it's that noticeable in person. It does make sense. I think purling with Nutiden is harder for me because I knit continental, so I'm like tensioning the Nutiden. It has a tendency to stretch. So when I'm purling, I think I'm extra gentle with it, which means I'm probably getting larger loops. So that does make sense, but that is interesting. And what I'm talking about is these like rows that you can see here. It means my purl stitches are probably bigger than my knit stitches, but it's not terrible. But yeah, this is the color. It's a really pretty steely kind of gray. I don't know what color it is. I got this Nutiden in a D-stash, but here is one of the cakes, 2 of the cakes. Like I said, I'm holding it double. And I am really enjoying it. It's super fun to knit. It knits up really quickly. I think I knit most of this back panel in like a day or 2, and now I'm ready to pick up the fronts. I am concerned that I'm not going to have enough yarn for this. So these were 2 full cakes. This is what I have left. I'd say it's like probably about half or slightly less than half. So I'm hoping that will be enough to at least finish like the yoke, you know, like the back and the front pieces, and maybe start like a little bit of the body. But then I only have like 2 cakes left, which I don't think is going to be enough to knit the whole body of this and the sleeves. So I'm gonna just keep going and see how far I get. But my tentative thought was that if I run out of this color, or if I can tell I'm not gonna have enough, I might like only knit this color to the body, like to the waist, and then I might order some, oh, what is it? The Wool Dreamers Manchelope in like navy or like a different color to kind of color block it, and knit that for the bottom and do like a color blocked version. I don't know. Because I can't get more of this color. So I was like, how can I creatively solve this? So I would love to know if you have any other ideas. I could make a cropped version, I suppose, but it wouldn't then have like that detail that I really like, and I really do want it to be long. So right now I'm gonna just keep going and see how far I can get. Probably once I join in the round, I'll just knit like 1 inch or so, and then I'll knit the sleeves. And if the bottom needs to end up being a different color, we'll deal with that when we get to it. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be playing some yarn chicken with that one, but I am excited to carry on with it. And my next one is the one that kind of has my heart right now. This is so fun to knit on. And this is the Midland Cardigan by Laura Penrose. I'll put a picture of that in here. And I'm knitting, let's see, what size am I knitting? Size 4. This one I have made a lot of mods, or, you know, not mods necessarily, but it required a lot of thought up front, because I wanted to crop it pretty significantly. I really wanted it to be just past my natural waist, and it's designed to kind of be like between your waist and your hip. So figuring that out was a little bit challenging because the cardigan is knit sideways. So you have to know how many stitches you need to take out to shorten it, like when you cast on. It's not like you can just like knit until it's the length you want because you're knitting it this way. So you have to cast on fewer stitches to get a shorter cardigan. So there was some math involved. I am also knitting a different size for the body and the sleeves. So I'm knitting size 4 for the body and size 6 for the sleeve, which is pretty easy adjustment to make. In this pattern, you have the option of casting it on. There's like a seamed version and a seamless version for the body. So if you do the seamed version, which is what I'm doing, that makes adjusting the armhole depth really easy because you basically just seam it up shorter, that, you know, like you just stop seaming sooner, so you have a bigger armhole. I will say I don't normally have to make bicep adjustments in patterns, so it's something to note for this pattern. Like, even if you don't normally have to do that, you might want to double check. And Laura gives a lot of guidance in the pattern about how to do that as well. And it's possible she just wanted a tighter fitting sleeve. Okay, sorry for the harsh cut there. My phone died and I used my phone to record. That's actually somehow never happened to me before, but it happened today. So I will try and jump back in where I left off, which I think I was talking about the Midland cardigan and how you might just want to check the sleeve, the bicep circumference if you're gonna knit this, and make sure you don't need to do separate body and sleeve sizes like I'm doing. So with that said, I'll put the picture on screen again if I didn't have it on there already, just so you can see, but it's a really fun construction. So you basically cast on like here, like around the armhole. Like I said, I'm doing the seamed version, so mine is just knit flat back and forth. So let me just show you what I have. I've finished the back panel. So it's kind of hard to show right now, but here's what I have. So you can see, here's where I cast on, like around what will be the armhole. These stitch markers indicate where I'll seam to, so that will be my sleeve opening. One thing about making this more cropped is that when you're working the first short row section, which is this section here, which kind of creates the sleeve drop, because you have like fewer rows to work with, I'm gonna have less of a drop. Like I'm gonna have a little bit less width in the body here, but I think overall I'm gonna have plenty of positive ease in this, so I'm not worried about it. I think if my calculations are correct, I'm maybe only gonna lose like an inch to an inch and a half off of the total body width because of that. But for me, it was easiest to just keep in pattern and just stop when I kind of ran out of stitches instead of like altering the short rows, if that makes sense. So yeah, you start with that section, and then there's a bit of kind of straight knitting with increases here that kind of shapes the shoulder sloping, so you're increasing along the back edge, and all the while you're working this faux shoulder seam, which kind of tilts towards the front, as you can see here. Then you work the V-neck, so you can see I've got my first side of the V-neck done. That's all done with short rows, and then there is a flat portion for the back. So I just finished that. So next I'm going to be casting on stitches and knitting the left side V-neck and then the other side of the body, and then the body will be done. It's really fun. I love short rows. I think it's garter and short rows. Like, it's super addictive. It's super fun. The yarn I'm using is really lovely. Let me tell you about that. It is Sunday Morning DK, my first time using it. Hopefully not my last, because it's a beautiful yarn. It is 75% BFL, 25% Mashem. And this color is Rom-Com. And I actually got this when they were doing like a inventory sale over the summer, I think, last year. And it's just like the perfect, like, vibrant pinky purple. Rom-Com is a great name for it. I think it's going to be a really good color for me, and I'm really excited about this one. It is like I said, I don't want to put it down, and especially that back portion when you're just knitting back and forth in garter for like however many rows, you know, that part was like super duper easy. So I do think all the finishing on this one is going to take longer than like knitting the body. It has a double knit button band, which I've never done before, so I'm excited to try that, but I do know it can be pretty time consuming. You'll pick up and knit ribbing, and then for the sleeves I'll have to decide. I think in the pattern they're written to be picked up and knit in the round, which in garter means you'd be purling every other round, and I might end up like picking them up and knitting them flat and then just seaming at the end. We'll see how I feel when I get to that, but some more choices to make on that one, but really enjoying it so far. All right, that's it for knitting whips. I have a spinning whip. Like I said, I'm working on the next braid for my night shift shawl, and this one is another fun variegated braid. All of them are from Fat Cat Knits for this project. They're all the Targhee, but this color is Nebula. So I finished the first bobbin. Focus. Sorry, I'm actually recording on my partner's phone, so we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't look too different, but we'll see. But you can see this one has this really pretty burgundy, these like washy, soft denim-y blues, this turquoise, teal. So I think this one's gonna add that really fun pop of blue that I haven't had in any of the other skeins yet. Make sure we're in focus here. So yeah, just finished the first bobbin. I've got 2 more to go. I'm pretty much spinning it lace weight, so it's gonna take a little while, but that's okay. And the last whip I want to share with you today is my quilt project, which is kind of like a block of the month kind of thing. So I've been inspired by a few other makers that have done this the past few years. Layla Makes was the one who most recently did it. I think I shared a picture of her quilt on the previous episode if you want to see. But basically the idea is that you just make like an applique, kind of a free-form applique quilt block for each month of the year to kind of represent that month. And then at the end of the year, you have a quilt that like represents your year. So I'll show you quickly again. This was my January block. It was all about reading and snow and like all kinds of fun January stuff. And I am piecing it as I go just to make it a little bit easier. So you'll see like I have bits of the sashing on here and these 2 blocks are connected. So here is my block for February. So for February, here, let me fold this one out of the way. I kind of struggled with this one. I don't really know why. The heart was very obvious. It's Valentine's Day. It's the month of love. I did a lot of fun Valentine's Day things this year. I'm not normally like super into Valentine's Day, but Troy and I went out to a nice dinner. I had some fun time with my sister and my cousin, and I made a really nice like Valentine's dinner for my friends, which was fun. So I do feel like I kind of leaned into it this month. This is meant to be like a paint can with pink paint because we painted our hallway pink this month, which was fun. And then the cloud is representative of something going on in my professional life right now. Just a new area of work that I've taken on. It's called Blue Sky. So I kind of wanted to represent that bit of the month as well. And then a couple more hearts, and the blue frame, I kind of was going for like a slot machine vibe. I don't really know why. I wasn't gambling or going to a casino or anything. I just felt like some of these motifs were kind of like, the heart always makes me think of like a suit from like a deck of cards. Like I kind of thought it was cute to have it like, I like pulled the lever and it landed on these things for my month of February, at least in my mind. That was kind of the concept. So yeah, that's February. And then you can see the first 2 months together. I think it's looking really cute. All the fabric are linen scraps that I had in stash. So the background color will be the same for all of the blocks. It's this kind of like oatmeal-y linen. And then the sashing is navy blue. And yeah, I just have all these other colors in stash. So far I'm loving this. March will be the end of this row, and then we'll move on to the second row. I'm excited for Marches. I don't really have any concrete ideas yet. You know, I kind of like to wait and see like what happens in the month and do it closer to the end of the month, but spring is in the air, so I have a feeling we'll have some like leaves or flowers or something nice in that one. Okay, that's it for whips. Thanks for hanging in there through the technical difficulties. I do have quite a few plans I'd like to talk to you about today. So my wheels are definitely turning about like spring knits. What are my next projects? I have other sweater whips on the go right now. I'm looking at them there. One is very close to being done, my linen sweater. I'm hoping to like just power through that at some point, probably in the next month. It might have that as a finished object next time. And my Bergman, which is the colorwork yoke, the Caitlin Hunter sweater. I'm on Body Island right now, so who knows when we'll get through that one, but they're still there. But I feel like my active whips are kind of in like a transition phase. Like I'm getting ready to cast on a bunch of stuff. So I would love to share all of that with you. Now that I'm only doing these pods once a month, I feel like it's fun to like, I can share more of my planning process and then show you the updates in the next episode. So I don't know who I am. I've been on a swatching kick lately. I normally am not a swatcher, but I think I've made like 4 or 5 swatches in the past month or two, and all with good reason. So let me show you my swatch and then I'll tell you about it. So this is the first swatch that I made recently. And this is for like a summer project. So I had these 2 yarns in stash that I knew I wanted to use together. They're both DK weight cotton yarns. cotton blends. But I didn't know about gauge. So I had a couple patterns in mind, but I was like, I really don't know. I think this is gonna knit up bigger than that. So I decided to just go ahead and do a swatch and see how it turned out. And that was actually really great because then I could take the gauge of my swatch and search that in Ravelry to find a pattern with a matching gauge so that I knew, okay, I already know what my gauge is with these yarns on this needle size. I'm ready to go and just cast on for that project. So that's what I did. So let me tell you about the yarns. The more like raspberry color one is Rowan Cotton Cashmere, and that is, the color is raspberry, and it is, where is the makeup? 85% cotton, 15% cashmere. So it is really nice. It has some drape to it. It's quite soft. And the purple one, oh wait, I'm wrong. This is the cotton cashmere. I had the wrong ball band for the other one. I think this one is like a cotton linen blend. Sorry about that. The light purple is the cotton cashmere. And the color is 00217. Easy to remember, right? So I had these two yarns. I knew I wanted to use them together. I went ahead and did the swatch. And the pattern that I found that I'm going to make is the Stripey VT by Hannah Singleton. And I did have to write that down to remember, but I will put a picture of it in here. So the other thing is I don't have a ton of either of these yarns. So I know I needed this to be something pretty small, not small like literally, but like, you know, a tank top or a tee that's probably pretty cropped. And I found this pattern and I love it. So I knew I also wanted a V-neck. And I think this pattern is so cute. It has very minimal finishing, like it has a rolled hem. It has just, I think, like an I-cord or just a bind off around the neckline. And I think it's really, really cute. So I'm excited to make this. Now what I need your help deciding, and this is where the D20 comes back in. I did this stripe swatch and I think it's very cute. And I could definitely use this pattern in the tee. Or I could take, my other thought was to take the two colors and take like a regular 6-sided die and like roll the dice each time to decide how many stripes of each color and just like alternate. So I got more of like a random kind of look. My one worry about that is I pretty much have like 50-50 an even amount of yarn. I think I only have like 400 or so yards of each yarn. So I would need to make sure I was using them pretty evenly, which is why I'm concerned about that. But honestly, that's a concern with this too, because these aren't even stripes. So I don't know, let me know what you think. Should I play it safe and go for a stripe, or should I mix it up and do like the randomized stripe? I would love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, I'm hoping to cast that on soon. I feel like people are starting to talk about their summer knits and I'm probably behind the ball already. Last year, I think I only finished 1 or 2 summer knits, and one I finished basically in fall and I didn't get to wear it yet, my oolong tank. So I'd love to have some finished, you know, more like in the beginning or middle of summer so I can actually wear them this year. So that's one soon to be cast on project, but I need your feedback about the stripes. All right, the next one is gonna be a birthday cast on of sorts. I'm gonna cast this on a sweater for my partner Troy for his birthday. Well, I'm casting it on his birthday and eventually he'll get it as a gift, but his birthday's coming up next week, so I'm gonna be casting this on soon. And kind of the same thing here. I knew what yarns I wanted to use, but I wasn't sure about gauge and I didn't have a particular pattern in mind. So I went ahead and swatched just to make sure I was gonna like the yarns together. So let me show you. The first one is this Rowan Felted Tweed. The color is 190, but I think it's like stone or something. And it's really pretty. It's like almost like a greenish neutral beigey kind of color. But then it has these flecks of like bright blue and navy and white. And I've had a sweater quantity of this for a while, intending to knit a sweater for Troy. But I've tried a few different things with it and nothing's really stuck. So then I thought I really want to knit a marled sweater again, because I love marling. And so then I was like, oh, well, I have all this Barocco Lannis Light in navy, also like a sweater quantity. What if I held them together and marled? So I did a swatch of that. Here it is. So I swatched in the round. And that's why I have all these little tassel-y guys hanging off. And I think it turned out really nice. This was on 4mm needles. I think it has some nice drape, but it's gonna be really warm. And I showed it to Troy and I was like, do you like this? You know, it's because it's a pretty high contrast marl. But I do think it looks nice, like from, you know, I think it'll look nice on him. So I did that. And then again, I searched Ravelry by gauge and I found a pattern by Maxim Sear that I'm going to use. I'll put a picture of it here. It's called Wrong Side. And this is like a spot on match for needle size and gauge with my swatch, but I'm gonna have to make some modifications. So the whole thing about this sweater is that it's knit inside out. So you see the back, which I thought looked pretty cool, but I showed this to Troy and he wasn't into that. He wants this side. So I think I'm gonna knit this and just knit it right side out. I might do a double folded collar instead of just the 2x2 rib, we'll see. But other than that, I think it's pretty much, I can't remember off the top of my head if it's a circular yoke or a raglan. I think it's a raglan. Yeah, but I'm just gonna knit it right side out instead of wrong side out, even though the pattern is called a wrong side. And I won't be doing like the contrast colors or anything like that. Probably, although I suppose I could. Ooh, what if I did like the collar in like the solid navy? That could be nice. Okay, TBD, but I'm gonna be casting this on in the next week or so for his birthday. So I'm excited about that one too. I guess I'm a swatcher now. I don't know. But then I will still cast on with Reckless Abandon without a swatch. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, next, kind of an impulse cast on that I'm going to be casting on today. Andrea Mowry is having her March to May knit along. And I think I did actually participate in this last year. I think I knit my Melt shawl, which I can put a picture of that in here. That was really fun. I loved knitting that shawl. It was, I just pulled stuff from Stash, so it's kind of wild colors, but it was really enjoyable. It was a DK weight shawl, so it went pretty quickly. And she was talking about it on her most recent podcast, and I was like, I think I need to knit that. I think I need to knit something for that. So I decided I'm gonna do a shawl again this year. And part of the fun for this for me is like just going through my stash and pulling out what could work and different combinations. And I decided that I'm gonna knit the Find Your Fade shawl. I can put a picture of that here. And I feel like this is like a very classic Andrea Mowry pattern. So I'm excited to knit it. And I went in my stash of sock yarn and I dug out like most of my skeins and I was like playing with them and having so much fun putting a fade together. So the original pattern calls for 7 different colors and I am gonna use 7 different colors in mine. I'll put a picture here of what my fade is gonna look like. So it's gonna kind of go from this like dusty blue, I don't know what end that's on, this dusty blue through like purple and raspberry colors into like pink and orange. And that last pink and orange skein is a spin cycle skein that I just had kicking around. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. I'm gonna cast this on today and I can't wait. I will tell you more about the yarns and all of that when I have more to show, but I'm really excited to cast that on. So I just felt like I was craving something really colorful and like not something I didn't have to worry about the fit, and like a crazy shawl like this totally fits the bill. So I'm eager to hear if any of you are participating in this knit along as well. I do think it's a fun one. I love Andrea's pattern, so excited to participate. One other one I'm casting on today. Summerly just released the newest colorwork cuff club pattern yesterday. I'll put a picture of it here. It's this really cute like 60s inspired floral motif. It's a pretty simple one, so it should be pretty quick and easy to knit. And I went in my stash also yesterday and pulled out colors for this, which did I bring them over here? Yes, I did. So I decided I'm gonna knit these for my friend. So yay, knitting socks for other people. I guess I have a pair for Troy on the go too, but I'm gonna knit these for my friend. And I am gonna probably make them a little bit shorter than the pattern shows just because I think I'm gonna be playing a little bit of yarn chicken here. The main color I'm gonna use is this, which I unfortunately do not have the ball band anymore. This is leftover. It's actually, I used some of it in this sweater, but it's just this really pretty like soft pink and yellow yarn with speckles. And I think I have about 55 grams of this left. So there should be just enough to do a pair of like ankle socks if I do a contrast toe and the color work, I think. And my plan is to do the flowers in this color and the little flower centers in yellow. So that is my color palette for these. I think it'll be really cute. Like I said, knitting them for a friend, so I'm excited about that. And yeah, I'm casting those on today too. So I'll probably cast those on while I'm editing this video, and then later in the day I'll cast on my Find Your Fade. So I'm really excited about both of those projects. And last but not least, I have something exciting to tell you all about. So I have not really ever even considered doing like ads for like products on this channel or anything like that. But recently the Woolly Thistle, I feel like you're probably gonna hear this on a lot of podcasts in the next couple of weeks, but the Woolly Thistle put out a call for affiliate partners, and I love the Woolly Thistle. I have bought yarn from them several times. They import a lot of those like woolly wools from Europe that are kind of hard to get in the US. Really beautiful yarns, and I've been on a bit of a personal journey over the past couple of years, which if you've been watching, you've probably seen. I am really like gravitating towards more of those non-superwash woolly wools for my sweaters. I mean, I still love things like this too, but I do really love those kind of wools for garments, and I feel like I have so much more to explore in those type of wools. So I decided to apply for the affiliate program kind of on a whim, and surprisingly and happily was accepted. So I'm now a Woolly Thistle affiliate. So I don't know, it feels kind of weird. I don't really know how to, I don't know, this stuff is always weird, but I just genuinely love the Woolly Thistle. And like, if you are interested in checking them out, I can, you know, have this link available. So in this vein, and I'll talk more about that in a second, but something I'm excited to work on, like I said, after I finish my Corinthian socks, are a pair of socks. It's a sock set, so there's two different designs that I've had in my brain for like, it feels like years at this point. I've been wanting to design these socks, and they are inspired by coneflowers, and it's colorwork socks. So one is an all over colorwork design of like coneflowers, and the other is kind of like a looser interpretation of a coneflower. So there's like a contrast cuff with a little bit of color work that kind of mimics the like center of the flower, just around the heel or the cuff and the toe. So those ones are more simple, but I think it'll be a really nice set. And I might even do a third one with, I don't know, I have so many ideas, but as part of the affiliate program, Woolly Thistle is going to be sending me a couple skeins of their house sock yarn called Rambler. It is a non-superwash sock yarn, so I'm really excited to try that and share that with you guys. But I've decided I'm going to use that yarn for my design. So excited to start working on that. And again, I'll share all about it with you when I get it, but I can put a picture in here. There's multiple colors in this photo, but the pink and the brown in the middle are the two that I'm gonna be getting because they feel like coneflower colors to me. So yeah, I'm really excited to get back to that design idea and be able to use this yarn and share about it with you all. So very excited about that. And then also I'm going to be placing an order for some yarn. I know I just talked about trying not to buy that much yarn this year, but the garment I want to make is from this issue of Pom Pom magazine. This was the autumn 2022 issue, and it is, if you saw my Friday Fiber Chat where I like went through all my books, I feel like I landed on this one and talked about it a lot because I'm going to be making this as part of two different make-alongs. Yana from Finished Knitting Stories is hosting the, I think she's calling it the bookshelf mal, which is basically just like make something from a book that you already own, like the older the better, and it's a year-long knit-along. Then Mackenzie and Tim over at Sibling Energy are hosting the bucket list knit-along, and that's also a year-long knit-along. And I'm gonna knit this as my entry for both because I think it fits the bill for both. This is the Gramercy cardigan by Emma Duche, and I've been obsessed with this ever since I first laid eyes on it. It is this oversized intarsia cardigan with some cabling on it, and I just love those intarsia motifs. I think they're so beautiful, and I think that'll be challenging but very fun. So the yarn called for in the pattern is Biche Bouche Le Gros Lamb's Wool, which is the worsted weight version of that yarn. And I'm planning to order yarn for this from the Woolly Thistle and use my affiliate link. So yeah, really excited about this. I don't know when I will be, I'm gonna order the yarn soon. I don't know how soon I'll be able to cast on. I think this might be more of like maybe when I finish my Midland cardigan, I cast this one on or something like that. But yeah, really excited to get yarn for this from Woolly Thistle. Really excited to try their sock yarn. And basically how the affiliate link works is it doesn't cost you anything extra. It doesn't change anything about your purchase. But if you click my link and then shop, I will get a small commission, which is just a great way to like show your support for the podcast. And yeah, it's, you know, pretty easy, but no pressure at all. I don't ever want anyone to feel pressured to buy anything or, you know, feel like they need to do anything to enjoy the podcast. I just am happy to have you here. So if you're interested, the link will be in the description box below. Please feel free to use it. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you may have. But yeah, just kind of an exciting opportunity to work with a brand that I'm really excited about. So that is there if you are interested, but again, no pressure at all. So that's all I have for you today. I'm not even gonna do like a life update because I'm sure I've been going long at this point and life's just been pretty good. So that is it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please let me know if you're participating in any of these knit-alongs, what you've been working on. I'd love to chat with you all in the comments. I'd love to hear what you were working on while you were watching the video, even if it was just like doing the dishes or something. I've started watching a lot of podcasts while I'm like cooking and baking. That's like my new thing. So would love to hear what you're up to. But anyway, I'm too long-winded today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on either the next Friday Fiber Chat next week or on the next podcast a month from now. I hope you get a ton of crafting time in, and I hope you have a great month. Bye.